guys, I'm Wes Carr. In this week's lesson, we're going to talk about getting the bluegrass sound using the flattened third. Now, obviously it would be pretty much impossible to get all the keys in a reasonable amount of time, so we're just going to cover the key of G for now. And we're going to talk about how to get the flattened third and use it in all of the chords of a typical kind of standard bluegrass song. So that means we're just going to cover, the flattened third of like a 1-4-5 progression. So in the key of G, that would be G, C, and D. And so it should be a good lesson, and I think it'll bring you a long way in really getting into sounding like a bluegrass mandolin player. Okay, so before we can start talking about the flattened third, we need to talk a little bit about the G scale. So the G scale is going to start on your open G, and you're going to play 2, 4, 5. So you have 0, 2, 4, 5. Or G, A, B, C. Your next string will be 0, 2, 4, 5 again, and your notes will be D, E, F sharp, G. So we have 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5. And our notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And now to get into our second octave, we're going to play 0, 2, 3, 5 on the A string. So 0, 2, 3, 5. And our notes are A, B, C, D. And on our E string, we're going to play 0, 2, 3. And our notes are E, F sharp, G. And that'll kind of top off the scale. So again, you're going to have 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 3, 5, 0, 2, 3. And your notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So if you're not super comfortable with the names of the notes yet, take a couple moments and re-watch that portion of the video. It'll make the rest of this lesson 1,000 times easier if you can think of the note names, at least in my opinion. Alright, so the term flattened third actually comes from the scale. What we're referring to is the third note in the scale. So if you're counting G, A, B, B is your third note in your scale. Now to flatten a note on the mandolin, all we do is take it back 1 fret. So if we have a B on our 4th fret and a B on our 2nd fret of the A string, now we're going to play a B flat on the 3rd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the A string. Now the whole point of it, and if you run through that scale, you're now going to play 0, 2, 3, 5, 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 1, 3, 5, 0, 2, 3. So you have G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And the whole point is to kind of bring in tension, or this kind of not quite correct, kind of ugly sound when you're playing over like a G major chord, having that flat third, which belongs to the minor key. It's kind of rough. And you may have heard the term tension and release. The whole point of music and what makes a really good song is have these kind of bad sounds going to good sounds. So it kind of gets people interested. It draws them in to hear something ugly go to something pretty. To do that, to bring in that release, we just want to go either up 1 fret to the B or down 1 fret to the A. So if I'm playing something like that, and you can hear even something as simple as that brings a lot to the song. Something like that. So it's a really kind of easy scale to get your hands around, and the way that I would practice it is just practicing the G scale with both the B and the B flat. so let's take a second and look at how the idea of the flattened third relates to our fourth chord, which in this case is going to be our C chord. So the first thing to kind of understand is how the C chord works in relation to the overall key, which is G. So in the key of C we have, or in the normal C scale, there's no sharps or flats. So you're playing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But the problem is in the key of G, which is what we're working in, and that's kind of what rules the whole choice of notes in its own way, we have that F sharp. So that means in order to play through the C, we want to be kind of thinking of the C Lydian mode, which is which entails the F sharp, and it's basically a G scale starting from C to C. So every note will be natural except for the F, which is sharp. So let's take a look at both the normal C scale and then a look at the Lydian C mode. So for C, our starting note is obviously the C, and that's going to be on the 5th fret of your G string, and hopefully you remember that from the notes in the G scale. So you have the C on G, open D, E on the 2nd fret. For the C scale, it would be that F natural on the 3rd fret of the D string, the G on the 5th fret, and then 0, 2, 3, which is A, B, C. And then our D on the 5th fret of the A string, and then we'll go to our next string, play open E, F on 1, G on 3, A on 5, B on 7, and C on 8. So we have 5 on G, on the D string, 0, 2, 3, 5. On the A string, the 0, 2, 3, 5. On our E string, 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. Now to play the Lydian mode, all we're going to do is take those Fs and put them 1 fret up. Or you can think of the G scale just starting from C to C. So we have C on the G on the 5th fret, open D, E on the 2nd fret, that's the 4th fret F sharp, G on 5, and then we're going to be playing A, B, C, D, just like we did before. E is open, F sharp on the 2nd fret, G on the 3rd, A on the 7th, oh I'm sorry, the 5th, B on the 7th, and C on the 8th. And that's the C Lydian mode. So we have C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. It's, if you need a few moments to kind of keep reviewing that section, go ahead and take those and we'll move on to the flattened third. Okay, great. So let's start adding in the flattened third. This, to me, is where things get really, really interesting. It starts to kind of borrow in and add in some other notes, and it still sounds really good. Now you can still use your B flat in the key of C, or in over the C scale when you're in the key of G, and it ends up being your flattened 7th, which is actually something that we'll look at next week. But right now what we want to think of for the flattened third over the 4 chord, or the C, is the E flat. Remember, you're just counting up the alphabet, so C, D, E, and then our flattened third is E flat. So I would recommend working that E flat into both the C scale and the C Lydian mode, only because, I mean, you're going to play in both at some point anyways. So let's take a look at how the C scale entails the E flat. So our E flat is on the 1st fret of our D string and the 6th fret of our A string. So just take the same scale and add that note in around them. So you're going to start C on your 5th fret, D, E flat, which is your 1st fret of your D string. So C, open, 1. Your E is going to be on your 2nd fret. And since we're still in the C scale, or thinking C scale, we're still going to play the F natural, which is on the 3rd fret of your D string. 5th fret is G. And then we're going to go A, B, C, D, which is the same as it was before. So 0, 2, 3, 5. And then we're going to play our 6th fret here to get our flattened third. And then we're going to play open E, F, G, A, B, C. So that's 0, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. Some people will still close off their E and then their F so they can get that chromatic movement. So that would just be 5, 6, 7, 8, and then reaching up for that G. I like to keep the E open because there's a lot of loose stuff you can do with it. Just by kind of like doing that hammer on over 5 to 6 and then an upstroke on your E. But there's also kind of some advantages of having that closed off. Now as far as the Lydian mode will go, remember the only difference between the the C scale and then the C Lydian mode is that we raise our F to an F sharp. So again, you're still going to have those flats in there if you want, and then you're going to skip over your 3rd fret on your D string, go to your 4th, and skip over the 1st fret on the E string and go to the 2nd. So you're going to have G string on 5, open D, your E flat, which is on your 1st fret, remember that's your flattened third, E is on 2, F sharp for G, and then G on the 5th fret, A, B, C. So 0, 2, 3, the same as before. And then D on our 5th fret, E flat, our flattened third on the 6th, E, F sharp, G, so 0, 2, 3, A, B, C, our 5, 7, 8. And again, you can close it off. What I would typically do if I close it off now, instead of reaching for that F, I might do the F up on the 2nd fret, or something along those lines. So there you have it. There is your flattened third in over your 4 chord. Now, as a little kind of side note, it's the F versus F sharp, or natural scale versus Lydian scale, or Lydian mode. A lot of people just kind of avoid F or F sharp, and it's not a bad idea. It's hard to incorporate that note in there well. So if you're getting hung up over this scale, trying to fit it in and kind of work up some licks on it, try taking out the F entirely and maybe bringing it back in at a later point. Alright guys, so for the last little bit of this lesson, we're going to talk about how to make the flattened third kind of idea work over the 5th chord, which would be the D chord. So the D scale is actually going to have the same kind of problem that the C scale has, in that there's a note in the D scale that doesn't quite fit with the overall G scale. The key of G. So the D scale has an F sharp and a C sharp, and as we said before, the G scale only has the F sharp. So for us to make it work, we're going to use the Mixolydian mode over the D scale. Now, as a little preview for next week, the C sharp can work, and we'll talk about how to make that happen next week when we talk about how to approach the 7th scale members per scale. But for now, we're just going to talk about the flattened third, and we'll go through the D scale and the D Mixolydian scale really quick. So for the D scale, obviously we're going to start on an open D string, play 0, 2, 4, 5, or D, E, F sharp, G, just like we did before. So D, E, F sharp, G, and then since we're playing the normal D scale, we'll do 0, 2, 4, 5 again on the A string, and have A, B, C sharp, D. Now I typically like to come up to the 7th fret here if I'm going to go into the 2nd octave, and here's your E on the 7th fret of your A string is your E. We'll have F sharp on 9, G on 10, A on 12, B on 7 of the E string, 9 is going to be your C sharp, and D. So ending on that 10th fret for your D. If you don't like spending so much time up higher on the neck, you can actually just have your open E here and work your way up from there. So you'll have D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So 0, 2, 3, 5. Scoot up for your B on your 7, 9, and 10 is your C sharp and D. Now for us to make the Mixolydian mode, again, we're going to move that C sharp back 1 fret to have a C. So you're going to take the rest of the scale is going to be exactly the same except for where your C sharps were. So we'll have D, E, F sharp, G, just like we did before, 0, 2, 4, 5. And then we're going to have 0, 2, 3, 5. So that'll be A, B, C, D. Again, we're going to move up to our 7th fret for our E. F sharp is 9, and then the G is 10. A is going to be 12. B is the 7th fret of our E string again. And then there we're going to have the 8th fret for the C instead of the 9th fret for the C sharp, and play the 10th fret for the D. Now again, if you don't like spending so much time up the neck, you can do most of it all down here. D, E, F sharp, G, 0, 2, 4, 5, 0, 2, 3, 5, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, so 0, 2, 3, 5 again. B, and you'll just scoot up to the 7th fret, play the 8th fret again for the C, and then D is your 10th. And that's your D Mixolydian mode. Alright, so let's put the flattened third into both the D scale and the D Mixolydian mode. So the flattened third would be D, E, F, or in the case of the D scale, it's obviously F sharp, and we're moving it back to the F. So all you're doing is you're pushing it back 1 fret, and we're going to approach it the same way we've been approaching the other ones. We're going to put it into the scale with both the flattened third and the major third. So we're going to have open D, E, F on the 3rd fret, F sharp on the 4th fret, and then G on your 5th, and then A, B, C sharp because we're in the normal D scale, D. You're going to scoot up to 7, which is your E, and then F is on 8, F sharp is the 9, G is 10. And then you're going to play your 12th fret, which will be your A string, or your A note. Your B is on the 7th of the E string. The 9th of the E string will be your C sharp, and the 10 will be your D. Now, same thing, you can obviously move it back, in which case, if you want to keep it kind of closer to here, your F will be on your first fret. So remember, that's all going to be the same. We're going to play the open E, and we're going to do 0, 1, 3, which will give us E, F, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. And then for the Mixolydian mode, remember you just move that C sharp back. So we're going to have D, open D, E on the 2, F, F sharp, G. So 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. A is your open A. Second fret is B. Now we're going to play that flattened third, this C. And then the fifth fret, which will be our D. Go up to your E, which is going to be your 7th fret of your A string. So you're going to play 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's E, F, F sharp, G. A is 12, B on the 7th fret, C on the 8th, and D. And that's our Mixolydian D scale. That's what we would actually use in the key of G. Sorry, played the normal C there. And again, obviously you can keep it all closer down here, in which case you play D, E, F, F sharp, G, so 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, open A, B, C, so 0, 2, 3, 5. E, F on your first fret, F sharp on your second fret, G on your third, A on your 5, B on your 7, the C on your on your 8, and then the D on your 10. So we've tossed around a lot of scales and a lot of modes and a lot of notes and a lot of everything. So here's kind of a quick summary and the easiest way to think of it. Stick to the key of G. Always play the key of G. Always be thinking in the key of G, regardless of what chord you're playing over. Because basically, I mean, with the modes, you're still sticking to the key of G, all the notes in the key of G. But then your flavor notes, those special, like the flattened thirds, the extra stuff. Just remember that over G, you get the B flat. Over C, you get the E flat. And over D, you get the F. And you can do a lot with just those few notes to really push yourself into sounding even more bluegrass than you already do. Hopefully this helped. If it did, go ahead and subscribe to my page. There'll be a ton of more videos coming out as far as lessons and me playing random licks and tunes and stuff. And if you have anything that you maybe want me to cover or have more help toward, please go ahead and leave that in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Thanks.